Hello, I'm King John, you're you, and you're awesome, and I want to talk to you about something that, if it does happen, will probably affect your life in a big way. Perhaps not directly, but in a big way. Excuse me. The possible impending communist invasion of Taiwan. Now, I think this is something we should take seriously because the communists have been threatening to invade Taiwan for a very long time, with increasing stridency in the past few years. Excuse me. Now, any invasion of Taiwan would come with an enormous amount of economic fallout, both to China itself and to the world at large, because a very large proportion of electronic microchips are produced in Taiwan, and an even bigger percentage of the world's most advanced microchips. So, any damaging war involving Taiwan would have very big economic fallout across the entire world. It would affect just about everybody, including you. Which is why I want to talk to you about this, because you're involved, whether you like it or not. Communists don't care very much about economics, but they really, really want to take over Taiwan. So, what would that look like? What would they need to do? Well, it would need to be a really big operation. Maybe not on the same scale as Operation Overlord, but a really big one. They would need to land on the island. Land very large forces on the island. They would need a certain amount of surprise. Like, if the entire world knew they were about to do it months in advance, why then Taiwan's allies would reinforce them very quickly and the whole thing would fail. So they need a certain amount of surprise. They need to land a very large force. They need to constantly reinforce and resupply the force by sea. And they need to take over the entire island fairly quickly before Taiwan's allies can respond. That's a tall order. And let's talk about why it's a tall order. For one thing, the Taiwan Strait is pretty big. It's a lot bigger than, say, the English Channel. Excuse me. This would be an immensely complicated operation. And the People's Liberation Army, which is the armed wing of the Communist Party and not a Chinese national army, has not been in a war since the 1980s, and they lost. They have no joint planning between different branches of the military. This would be. They have no naval landing expertise, which is a big deal because that is something you need to train and practice over a long period of time to get good at. They have very few, specialized landing craft, which is really important if you're going to be bringing in men and supplies constantly. Now, some people, like Binkov's Battleground, say they could just use merchant craft as a replacement. Well, yes, but there would be a serious drop in utility, in quality. It'd be a lot harder, a lot slower to move supplies and men that way. And in the meantime, every time that any vessel will make a trip across the Taiwan Straits, there's going to be accidents. There's going to be enemy strikes from the air and the sea. There's going to be major attrition, which will just complicate everything. Now, the People's Liberation Army just doesn't have the logistical depth for that. They don't have the experience, they don't have the stocks for it. They don't have the backups for it. They don't have the masses of shipping held in reserve that the Allies did for Operation Overlord or Operation Husky, Dragoon, Iwo Jima. Every successful naval landing in the modern era has been massively overwhelming logistically. And the communists suck at that. They don't have it. Let's talk about the quality of their soldiers. Okay, in a recent article by state-run media said that recruits for the People's Liberation Army are wildly out of shape, physically incapable of, well, doing the job they need to do. There's a huge amount of their training is political indoctrination. A lot of the rest is actually folding blankets. Yes, you heard me. That's seriously. An awful lot of the training that Chinese soldiers go through in the People's Liberation Army is blanket folding. No joke. It's a big deal. They have no joint command. They have little to zero inter-service training and cooperation. Not that their officers literally buy their promotions, and it's not like the old British Army where that was the actual system, and they actually managed to have a fairly effective army in spite of that. No, this is just pure corruption. Corruption is a really big deal. Every single piece of equipment could you can't trust any single piece of equipment in the People's Liberation Army because corruption is that rife, that bad. Soldiers are underfed because their food is stolen. It's a really big deal, big problem. Their weapons and vehicles are unreliable because of bad design, poor construction, and again corruption. The last time they fought a war was in the 1980s. They lost. Not okay. I shouldn't say not one single officer, but almost zero officers in the entire People's Liberation Army have any combat experience, much less naval landing experience. The few drills they've undertaken recently have been, well, laughable. It's man, and even if they manage to run a gauntlet of ships and planes and missiles to land significant forces on the island, um, the defenders have a very strong army, and they have very strong defensive positions all up and down the island. It's going to be a long, tough, hard-fought battle, and they don't have the time because Taiwan's allies they do have powerful allies in the region and in the world. The USA, Japan, the Philippines will be rushing to their aid. And there's very little that the People's Liberation Army can do to stop anyone from getting to Taiwan. They have submarines, but they're not good ones. They have interceptors, but they're not good ones. I could go on for a very long time. There's just so many reasons why invasion of Taiwan would fail. But I've already gone on for a long time, and your time is valuable. I don't want to take up any more of it. So, for those and for many other reasons, communist invasion of Taiwan would fail. I think they're still going to try it, just because they're communists, and communists are insane. And it would be damaging. It would have economic effects across the world. So be aware, well, what's going on over there. Be prepared and take good care of yourself because you are important. And that's all. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day. Oh, please comment below with anything you have to say on the topic. I'd really like to know what you think. I won't tell you like, share, and subscribe because I think that's kind of cringe, but I'd be flattered if you did. Anyway, have a good day and God bless.